All right, welcome back to It's Time Picks. We have a late and quick show for UFC 302. Uh, yeah, things got a little busy. I had the RotoWire show yesterday. Thursday, I had softball. So things kind of got a little busy, but here we are going to do a quick video. Joey, how you feeling about UFC 302?
I want to say for the most part, I think it could be almost like a favorite type card, but I think there could be some sneaky dogs. But in what exact order of the dogs, I probably can't tell you. It's probably gonna be a weird night. Um, I was honestly thinking, and I actually heard in one of your videos for the first couple minutes, it could be a cash card type of deal.
Mhm.
So if you get your GPP right, there's a chance you could take it down if you have the right order bout for your lineup. Besides that, to me, I think I'm gonna play light on GPPs. Play what I usually play, and then I'll definitely be at the sports books. And this looks like a decent card for actually some good props.
Yeah, definitely. So let's kick right into it so we can get through this and get it out there. The first fight we got is the bitten Andre Lima against Mitch Raposo. And as always, we will start with Joey.
Yeah, Lima, he's undefeated. If he didn't get bit, he probably wouldn't have been. He was getting control the entire damn fight for the most. Rapasso, he's making his long-awaited UFC debut. He was on Tough, then he was on the Contender Series, but during both of those times, I believe he was in between the ages of 21 and 23. And he's still very young in his career. But he trains at a very good gym with Rob Font and all them. Rapasso is very well rounded, and I'm actually going to be picking my very first dog, Rapasso. I think he can mix it up with takedowns. He does have good combinations. My only worry about him, he does tend to get heavy with the lead right, tend too much. He tries to headhunt with it. But if he mixes in his combinations with his wrestling, he should be able to win his maybe inside of distance. But I'm more leaning to probably towards a decision because I think Lima could tire out because he missed weight by 4 pounds.
What did you do? Listen to our video yesterday? I'm the only one on Raposo.
I didn't know that.
So
Well,
yeah,
cheers. I'm the one
I,
that told you about the kid.
I'm also on him. He holds two belts from other promotions. Not the greatest promotions in the world, but he is a pretty solid fighter. He's a good dog pick for this card, given the lack of them. And Lima does not have very good ground game as shown in his last fight. So both of us are on the dog. Mitch Raposo. Next up, we got Jocelyn Edwards and Eileen Perez. Edwards, it makes a good dog play. She's going to be very heavily owned because of the way she fights. She's a very upright, long fighter. She's got a reach advantage in this fight. But I like Eileen Perez. I think her speed and definitely her takedowns and ground game is much better than Edwards. So I'm going with the favorite.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, as you said, Edwards could be a sneaky dog. These two don't like each other either. Because there's that big heat thing they had at what's it called? The PA or thing in Vegas. Apparently, Edwards came up and got her underneath the eye. Perez's coach apparently choked her out, apparently. I just what I heard apparently. But yeah, if Edwards can keep it towards an outside type of striking match, she can probably win a point decision. But she's been taken down a lot inside her UFC career so far. And one thing I will say about Perez, even though she's missed Torky Twerk, which I'm not complaining about by any means. I like. Give me a call. But her wrestling's good. She mixes it in well. She chains it. Even if you get up, she puts you right back down. And she could be a decent good play on DraftKings, especially if you think she's gonna go take down, repeat. Because Edwards has been getting a lot better with getting up, but I think Perez is gonna be the pure winner in this fight.
Definitely. So both of us going with the favorite and Eileen Perez. Next up, we got Mickey Gall and Basil Hafez. Who are you going with this one, Joy?
I'm gonna make it short and sweet. Hafez already beat him in a grappling tournament a long time ago. And all honesty, I don't even think he needs to grapple. I honestly believe he's gonna knock out Mickey Gall. And I'm playing
That's
that
fair.
prop. I think it's at like plus like mid 200s.
Yeah, Mickey Gall is back in the UFC, and I'm not really sure why. He's not a good fighter. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He gets Hafez, who nearly, and you could
Ooh.
argue that he did beat JDM. So I am also on Hafez.
So before we get to the quick fight, plus 250 for Chavez by knockout. I don't think this fight sees the scorecard by any means. So if you want to play a safer, at least on my book, at Caesars, the casino area, the under 2.5 minus is minus 120. I don't see the scorecards.
All right, both of us with the favorite and Hafez. Next up, we have Phil Rowe and Jake Matthews. I have Matthews in this fight. Rowe is a good striker, and Rowe is going to be extremely popular. He might be the most owned fighter below 8,000. He's going to be owned for his striking, but Matthews is the better fighter. Matthews is it tends to just have a lower IQ. He doesn't always use his wrestling like he should, but at some point he needs to. If he wants to move up, he's got to use his entire game, and that would include his ground game. Which, if he uses his ground game in this fight, he's going to completely dominate Rowe.
So this is one fight I was undecided about. If it stays standing, I think Rowe can be the minute winner, use his range. If Matthews does get inside, gets takedowns, and even just hugs him, because Rowe just times, even if he's not taken down, he accepts his back on the cage for time control. I don't have a main confidence because I like both guys, and usually I can't pick their fights right for shit. My slight lean, and I'm actually changing my pick to Matthews. Like I said, I think he is the better fighter, but it wouldn't shock me by any means if Matthews' IQ sucks and Rowe just catches him. Maybe it wouldn't shock me, but yeah, I'm slightly on Matthews with low confidence.
Nice. Both of us going with the favorite and Matthews, who actually fights better on bigger cards outside of the Apex. So that's also a note. Next up, we have Grant Dawson and Joe Selecki. Probably not going to need to say much in this. Who you got?
I'm gonna make it nice, short, and sweet. Dawson, I think this is a reboundable fight for him. Yes, he unfortunately got caught in his first loss versus Bobby Green, but if he would have won that fight, he could have been really potentially pushing himself up even higher in the rankings. I think this is a get right spot. Even though Selecki is a good grappler, Dawson's better everywhere. Um, yes, it sucks. Selecki did get slammed and knocked out on his head. That was absolutely terrifying. That was one of the two slams, knockouts on that card. Um, yeah, I just think Dawson's better everywhere. And I guess you can lock him in for cash, but like I said, you got to really move stuff around. Could he mix in takedowns? Could these two grapplers decide they want to strike? It's possible, but I got Dawson. I don't know what I'll do for DFS for them because I do like other options below him.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to say because Dawson doesn't always score the greatest for
mhm,
DFS because he's a control wrestler and he doesn't do a whole lot else with it. Doesn't throw a lot of strikes. Um, Yeah, I mean, he has gone over 100 well, several times. So I mean,
mhm.
I'd say he's pretty safe for cash, especially because he's going to be much better than Selecki here. Uh, the only thing that would be any worry is Selecki initiating the takedown, but Grant he's a really good scrambler, so I mean, that'd be 5 points that you lose out on, but he ends up in top. So
Mhm.
it's a tough call for that one, but I do have Dawson. He's better everywhere, and he should easily win this fight. Both of us are going with the favorite in Grat Dawson. Next up, we have Jailtown Almeida against Alexander Romanov. Romanov is a mushy potato now that he's decided that he just wanted to be 265 in all of his fights rather than the slim fit strength 240. And I mean, he's got no cardio. He's a first round or bust. Almeida is going to completely just shell him. I said last night on the RotoWire podcast, I wouldn't be surprised if Romanov only had 5 strikes in this fight.
So I'll say this and I'll make it short. Beginning of the week, I told Drake that I was undecided on this fight, and primarily only due to the reason because if Romanov came in shape, then I could be scratching my head potentially. But if you are on the Romanov side,
He's in shape. Round is a shape.
he's 265 a flubber.
Yeah, round is a shape.
Okay, smartass. But no, originally we thought he was the next big thing. We thought, okay, this guy could have been what Brock Lesnar should have been, even when he had a title. But if you're playing Romanov, GBP only, don't do cash with him for the love of God. If you're doing, you gotta hope he gets probably a first round finish.
No,
Because
I
like I
say
said,
don't play him at all.
yeah, Drake said don't play them all. I'm probably not gonna play them all. I gotta try to move stuff around. I do want to try to get Almeida in my builds
Hmm.
because I don't care if he gets early finish or it goes 3 rounds. He does decide to get a lot of control even if it goes longer. But I actually think he might get him out with a ground and pound.
Both of us are on the heavy favorite, Jailtown. Actually, he's not even that much of it. He's not even that big of a favorite. He's a moderate favorite. Jailtown Almeida. Next up, we have the feature prelim fight, Roma Kopilov and Cesar Almeida. And I already know who you're going with, but nobody else does. Let's hear it.
So I hated doing it last fight. But and I shocked the world and I even shocked you, and I don't shock you much. Um, I'm going back to the well of one of my favorite guys in the UFC, Roman Kopilov. I think, look, yes, I think the striking is going to be good, but I think he hits harder. I think he's faster. And realistically, if he wants to, which he may or may not, he may be able to sneak some takedowns because he showed improvements on doing it. And everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Almeida's takedown defense is good." I'm like, dude, Radke, but he's more of a wrestler than anything. Had no problem scooting the hips, not even traditional takedowns. Oh, I'm stronger. Pulled the carpet on him every single time until round two. He caught Radke. I think Kopylov. I'm gonna try to get him in too somewhere because I think the winner of this fight, their price tag's gonna pay it off. And I think maybe the longer the fight goes, I think Kopylov could maybe get a later TKO.
He's definitely a
And
round
by
two
the way,
type
I
fighter.
know if you think about for DFS, he's the 8,200, but on sports books, they have Almeida as the favorite, and you can get plus money for Kopylov.
Yep, and I am also on Kopylov. He is actually one of my favorite plays on DraftKings at
Two.
8,200. Kopylov has far more experience. He's fought far better competition. Almeida is good now. He's got really quick hands. He's powerful. His striking is clean. He's a good kickboxer. But Kopylov has the amount of experience that goes into these things. And I mean, this is Almeida's sixth MMA fight. Kopylov has so many advantages here. Plus, he's probably the better striker with more power. So I really like Kopylov in this fight, and I fully expect him to win.
So pretty much, I think the reason why I think the line flipped to now Almeida is the favorite. They're like, oh, but he fought old boy, in kickboxing, I think two
Mm-hmm.
times or three times, and he beat him once. Blanking his name, Ferreira.
Pereira.
Yeah. I fought him three times, beat him once. I'm like, okay, that's different than MMA.
It was also back in 2013 that he
Yeah,
beat him.
when
So
I had no idea who either or was. Um, yeah, I think Kovalov's gonna definitely pick your side in this fight, but I'm more leaning towards Kovalov.
definitely. Both of us are on the DK favorite betting dog in
Mm-hmm.
Roman Kopylov. Next up, we have a fight I'm not really interested in at all. It is the first fight of the main card. You got Randy Brown and Zaleski dos Santos. And the biggest reason I'm not interested in this fight is because neither one really scores well in decisions, and that's likely where this is going to go. Zaleski is not easy to knock out, and I don't think that Brown loses this fight. Brown's going to have the volume edge, and I think that's all the difference in this fight, but I don't see a high score coming out of it.
Yeah, I'm on Brown, but I will say Selesky is tough. He can fight for your money. So if you're trying to think about maybe a lower owned dog, Selesky could be a lower owned dog. And you saw what he did to Saint Denis when Saint Denis was up a weight class on short notice. Any other fight, he would have scored amazingly well, even in a first round finish. He even scored great in a decision. But I think the overall range and the overall size of the cage is going to play the advantage of Brown. And I just think this fight goes to decision.
Definitely. Both of us are on the favorite and Randy Brown for the first fight of the main card. Next up, we have Nico Price against Alex Morono. And I'm curious to see where you're going on this one.
So before this fight, actually, this is the second time they fought. Nico actually knocked him out, but the fight got overturned. I think Morono's gonna knock him out. I really do. I don't know when, but one thing I say, once your chin goes, I think it's not coming back. And yes, he got knocked out by Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler is not the same Robbie Lawler once he was. He barely touched his chin, and he had no sort of power on it. And if you're telling me that's gonna happen, and I hate to bring this up because it hurt me watching when Morono just absolutely peppered volume TKO'd Cerrone and made me almost cry. It could be like that. I think he could touch him on the chin, and I think at some point Morono could get the knockout. This all depends on what round, because I want to say that maybe Morono's a sneaky payout for me for GPPs, because I think he can definitely get Price out of there.
He definitely could, and I don't disagree. I'm heavily on Morono. I don't. Price is gonna have to show a lot for me to have any
Yeah.
confidence back in him. And he's lost four of his last five, and the loss to Lawler really just does it for me. So I've got Morono. I think Morono could. There's two ways he could do it. He could just go on an onslaught and he could score really well, or he could just be really patient in this fight and not score well at all.
Yeah.
So it's more of a GPP fight for sure, but I do have Morono. So both of us are going with the heavy favorite in Alex Morono. We have up Kevin Holland and Michael Oleksiejczuk. I've got Holland in this fight, but it does worry me. It depends on which version of Holland is going to show up. If it's the one that talks, I think he loses. If it's the one that actually fights, he should win this fight. He's got a massive range advantage, and he should be able to use that and potentially knock Oleksiejczuk out. But you do have to worry about the type of fighter that Holland wants to be. And if it's the one that just wants to have fun in the ring, then you could see Oleksiejczuk pull this out. So definitely more of a GPP type of fight, but I am on the favorite.
I'm also on Kevin Holland. As you broke it down, if Holland comes in there seriously, I think he weathers the storm early from Oleksiejczuk. At any point, I think if he wants to make it easy, I think one takedown could all it takes. Because Holland is very talented on the ground, grind and pound and submissions. If Holland decides to showboat and just go 1-2 and just try to circle the entire time, there's no way in hell he's going to pay his price tag off. But ideally, I think Holland is the better fighter. It just depends what version of Holland you get. And that's why I think, like I said, he's more of a GPP play. If you play him and he does what we said, just playing around, there's no chance in hell he pays it off. If he goes in there and actually takes it serious, then at 9K, I think he can do whatever he wants. He should get the fight done with under 1.5. And if not, then I think he's fucked.
Definitely. So both of us are on the betting favorite in Kevin Holland. Next up, we have the co-main event. This is a 5-round fight. You got Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa. And I would assume that you're also going Strickland, but let's hear what you got.
So I like Strickland, but I don't know why I'm getting this feeling. I told this to Howard. If you see the guys that Strickland usually has somewhat of an issue with, is the powerful muscle guys. He did it with Usman. He did it with Cannonier, but I thought he beat Cannonier personally. He got knocked out against Ferreira, and I believe early in his career he lost to Whitaker. I want to say. If Strickland doesn't mind his P's and Q's, even though I know you told me before this that now he has Pereira in his corner. So that could help him some, definitely, with his head movement. I just got this feeling that Costa might knock him out. I don't know
You're out of
why.
your
Look,
fucking
a
mind.
more active Costa. If it was only the Costa that's only fighting like a year and a half each time, I think there's a chance Costa could sleep him, bro. So, and this was one of them I'm saying that I may change my pick, but right now I'm
Do it.
going
Take
Costa.
Costa so I can make fun of you.
Okay, I'll go Costa.
All right, perfect. Good. Here, I said this last night on the RotoWire podcast. Paulo Costa is not a good fighter.
He has one thing that Strickland don't got is power.
Doesn't need it. Strickland's been knocked out, what, one time, and that was a snipe
Oh yeah, that was
twice?
a clean snipe to chin. Oh, twice. I think one was to Zaleski.
Okay, yeah, so twice. Then that was the kick, which Paulo Costa does have good kicks. But let me tell you something. Paulo Costa does not have a single good win on his record. None. Go look at it.
All right, I'm actually gonna look at it.
Tell me what's a good win on his record.
Hmm. Luke Rockhold. At least name value. Name value.
We're not going on name value because Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, and Uriah Hall were all uh, aging.
Okay, but still, at one point, the name is still
So
fine.
you gave him
I want to go
Israel
off that.
Adesanya and he lost. You gave him Vittori and he lost. You
Lost the
gave him
look.
Whitaker
If
and
he
he
had
got
30
fucking
more
blown up.
seconds and like 10 more seconds in round one, he would have knocked out Whitaker.
Possibly. But
Uh,
Sean Strickland is a better fighter than Bob Whitaker.
Lost to Vittori. Lost to Adesanya when he got humped to the back.
Mm-hmm.
Romero, that was actually a hell of a fight.
It was, but Romero was also at the end of his line.
Johnny Hendricks, who should have been champion at welterweight. Um,
Yeah, but look, so when Costa beat him, that was Hendrick's fifth loss in 6 wins or in
mhm.
6 fights. So I'm gonna ask you again, where is a top fighter that he has fought in his
Probably
prime?
Romero. Probably Romero.
Romero was aging already at that point.
But
Romero's career
Romero
was
is like
almost over.
he could be 110 years old and still kick everybody's ass. I don't know
Uh,
what's in that man's genes.
a lot.
A lot, yeah, but he's not human.
Point is, as I do not think that he is worth a damn. The only thing that Costa has is power, and power does not mean you're a good fighter. Said what I said.
And I know somebody, I forget who said it because I didn't watch too much far, but somebody said if you're gonna stack one of these 5 rounders, is gonna be the
This
co.
is the one to stack. Yes. Will
For
cost
cash.
a half point value in this fight over 5 rounds? Absolutely. There's no doubt
I don't think
about
it
it.
goes 5.
I do. I think it goes to a
Think
decision.
so?
Mhm. I think it's going to be a lot like the Whitaker fight where Costa just gets piss pounded in the pocket the entire time. He hasn't fought a guy like Sean Strickland, which most people, anybody that hasn't fought Strickland, they haven't fought a guy like Strickland. He's got that unorthodox hands in his face type of defense, and it's really hard to hit him. He's a great checker, he's a great counter. It's Strickland is going to he should completely dominate this fight. I don't see Costa winning. If he does, I'll eat my words. That's fine. I just don't think that Costa's a good fighter.
And one thing I would say, I'm not telling, and this is only a sprinkle if I do it. If I'm doing anything for a bet for Costa, I'm only touching his knockout because he's not going to win a decision. I will say
Oh,
that right
plus
now.
after the third round, you actually might be right. Strickland might knock him out because Costa's gonna gas.
I may play the under. I'm gonna check what the under is in the fight when I go down, but that's a
So,
bet.
yeah. So both of us are on Strickland. This is a stackable fight, given that it's 5 rounds, and I do think that it goes into the championship rounds. Both guys, Costa should score at least decently well in that regard in a loss. But both of us on Strickland. Next up, we have the main event. There's not a whole lot to say. Islam Makhachev against Dustin Poirier. I unfortunately have to go with Islam. I love Dustin. I have autographed shorts by Dustin. He's one of my favorite fighters. Um, he has been throwing the retirement word around, so it's hard to trust him for that reason alone. But I think this fight goes down just like Poirier Khabib, and Islam should basically just have his way. It really sucks, and I really hope that Dustin does not retire after this fight, but we'll see.
So I know how bad it hurts you picking against Dustin because that's your boy.
It does.
Um, as much as I would love to see like a fairy tale ending, him win the title and just say, "Hey, I'm done," but I don't see it. I think Islam's gonna win the fight, and so one thing I did see leading up to it, apparently Dustin is bringing all his family to this fight. So
I
the
don't like.
more and
I
more it
don't.
looks like is just going to be retired and win, lose or draw. And I think Islam within the first 3 rounds is going to get him out.
Definitely,
And
probably.
especially that he has the Eagle back in his corner, Khabib. And
Yeah, I
I'll say
did
right
see that
now,
he was coming. So,
for any line, no matter if it's cash or GPP, I'm starting my builds with Islam.
well, that wraps up 302. It's not as good as 300, but it's better than 301. No, 301 shouldn't have been yeah. We don't talk about it anymore.
Ugh.
Um, I do think there's going to be a lot of entertainment value to this card. It should be a really good one to watch. I wish it was more than 12 fights. I wish we still had 13 or 14 on it, but it is what it is. This should be a good cash card. GPP is going to be very difficult, and I think that for a GPP card, we could be looking at one of the stacked fights taking something down, but we shall see. Um, Joey and I are only on one dog. We have actually all the same picks. It's just kind of funny. You thought we were
Wait,
gonna be
do we?
yeah.
So the
Uh,
only different one is me on Costa.
yeah.
Wow, no shit. Because
So and
I can
then
do any brackets.
we got after 302 next week we have Cannonier and Imavov.
Yeah.
That fight as a whole, there's actually some pretty good fights on it. I'm okay with it.
I'll be at work.
Unfortunately, on there's no card after that one, but then June 22nd we have the return of Bob Whitaker going against Hamzat. I feel bad for Whitaker in that fight because he's just going to get
Whitaker
mowed.
better catch him early. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and I don't see it happen, but we will get to
No.
that in a few weeks. That wraps up this, and we will catch everybody next week. As always, we appreciate you watching. Enjoy the fights.